Hello, everybody. It's me, John Gallagher Portero from Bristol Longform Comedy. I am here to talk to you a little bit about premise openings and things you can do with them during your lockdown or during your Zoom and Skype sessions when you're doing improv. So right from the get-go, one of the most fun things or shows I've been doing online have been Armando's. Just somebody gives us a monologue, and then we do scenes based on that monologue, and it works super well with premise openings. Premise openings are you're starting a scene already with an idea in mind, inspired by the monologue that you've just heard. So normally, yeah, a lot of people like to come in with no ideas of what the scene is going to be about, but having a premise idea really it's you're already like halfway there. The audience are sort of on board because they've heard the monologue. Your teammates are on board because they've heard the monologue. So you want to deliver your first line of a scene effectively and easily and clearly so that everybody in the room understands what's going on. And it just means you're halfway to the game, or you're halfway to the fun part of the scene. So the way I teach this in regular classes is we do a bunch of exercises, and it really is just about delivering monologues, how to deliver a good monologue, and then how to pick up on things from the monologue. So the first part of this tutorial will be on delivering monologues, and the second part will be picking things out of a monologue that you've heard. So the first exercise that I'd probably recommend is doing a monologue hotspot. If you are with different people in your Skype or Zoom session, you can just practice delivering monologues and getting a word and just delivering maybe a 2 to 3 minute monologue just based on the word. So the first thing I'm going to say the first tip I'll give you about delivering monologues in a show or in this exercise or anywhere is be truthful. Don't make it up. Don't make it a story, a made up story that you've never told anybody. It has to be truthful. It has to be something personal to you. Past experiences are so good. Opinions, things you genuinely believe in. These are all interesting things. You don't have to make stuff up. The great thing about a monologue is you have all the time in the world. It's your space, and you can say anything that's on your mind as long as it's true. So for example, if the word was candle, just because I can see a candle there on the table, I could probably start by saying something like, I grew up Catholic. I grew up Catholic when I was living in London, and I used to go to church every Sunday when I was living with my parents. And I remember going to a church in North London. So like already, I'm not even making it up. Like this is all truthful stuff for me, and it's the little details as well that really make it work. So I always try and say how old I was or whereabouts I was, and these are all little tiny details that can be used in scenes. And yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be super funny. It just has to be truthful, and people will pick up on it. So the first exercise I'd say is do hotspot monologues. Just go around to each person and deliver a 2 to 3 minute monologue. When you're listening to a monologue, the best thing to be listening out for are your unusual things. Those sort of shiny moments in the monologue, those details, all those little things can be used for your scenes afterwards in the Armando. So and because it's all truthful, it might not be super unusual to the person delivering the monologue, but it might be quite weird for you listening. So it's those types of things that we want to look out for. The tiny details, the shiny moments, the things that make you laugh, and the most unusual things, the things that make you think, okay, you're not necessarily looking for like a complete 100% sketch. You're looking for those just little details and those fun little moments. Remember, premise ideas doesn't necessarily mean you've got an 100% laid out sketch in front of you the moment you step out and you do a scene. It just means that you're halfway there. you have enough details so that you can fill in all the blanks when you're in the scene. Imagine that your first initiation is you've 50% there, and the rest of it, the other 50%, is you're filling it in the middle of the scene with your scene partner. So look out for the tiny details. So for example, if I was doing a monologue on bikes, and I can say something like something truthful like, I don't really ride bikes, but I ride public transport. I can't drive either, but I can ride. I'm very good at riding public transport, so buses and trains. It's something I'm used to because I live in a big city. So already that's a pretty weird thing to say. I'm very good at riding public transportation. Take that. That's a fun idea. That's a good. That's a weird little thing that I didn't mean to say it. It just sort of came out of my mouth, but it's the first thing that I noticed. That was pretty strange for me to say. So use that. Use that to elevate yourself in that scene. The next exercise is, again with monologues, is do your 2-3 minute truthful monologue and then try and do scenes based up on it. Now, try and do 3-line scenes. So someone delivers a monologue and then 2 other people, one starts out with the initiation, the second person replies to that initiation, and then the first person replies to that second line, and that's it. You've got your 3 lines, 1, 2, 3. And this is just to sort of try and get the details in just 3 lines. So you're looking for your who, your what, and your where. Who are you guys? Where are you? And what's going on? And it all has to be inspired by the monologue. So a little tip on getting these exercises, getting these scenes, from the monologue is try and use exactly what is said. Try and use exactly what has been said in the details. Try not to be the character of the person delivering the monologue. So for example, if John is delivering the monologue, don't play a bastardized version of John. Try and use the details in that. So for example, if I was delivering a monologue on Hawaiian shirts and I said something like, I've never worn Hawaiian shirts, but I'd really like to. Maybe the first scene could be set in a clothes store and it's a mother and son, and the son says something like, I want to change my style up. I want a Hawaiian shirt, So you're using that detail. You're using the detail of what is said. Just do a bunch of those with your whole team or your whole class, and it just helps you, and you can practice trying to efficiently and clearly establish your who, where, what. So the third and final exercise is monologues into scene painting. So I found that obviously being physical on Zoom or Skype with improv is quite difficult. You can't really, you're just staring. I'm staring at a camera, and it doesn't feel natural at all. It feels weird. So something that I found quite useful is doing scenes, including scene painting. So it feels like you're just explaining what it is that you're seeing in this environment or on the stage. It's a nice way of it. It can be used as an opening, and it could be used as exploring what else is in the scene so that we can pick and hold it. So in this next exercise, do a monologue and from a single word, and then I want people to scene paint an environment. So monologue, 2-person scene, it can be as many lines as they want, and encourage the rest of the team to scene paint. So just like a little quick tip is, if 2 people are doing the scene, don't all charge in and just do scene painting. Like, find the right moment to come in and give them space to see the scene, but just little details. Like, for example, the monologue is about comic books, so it could be I don't know, the opinion of, I really love comic books, and I did my university dissertation on a graphic novel. And then the scene is set where it's a professor and a college student, and the college student is saying something like, I really just want to do it on the Batman series. And the college professor isn't really buying it. So somebody can come in from the back line, or another person who's not in the scene, and say, we see a stack of 52 Batman comics just on this college kid's lap while he's sitting down. Or we see a college professor and he's wearing a suit and tie. He's just dressed just like an expert. Suit and tie, 3-piece suit. It's those little details that the people in the scene will pick up on, and that's the things that they will play with. It's a pretty fun exercise. Try a couple of them and see what other environmental objects you can create and scene paint for the players to play in. Yeah. So those are my exercises. The last thing I'll talk about is just a couple of tips on delivering your premise ideas. So like I said at the beginning, it is about being clear. So I've got 3 tips to help you when you're coming in from a monologue. So someone's delivering a monologue, they finish, and then what do you do when you go forward? So it's very easy to try and go in with a joke right from the get-go, but I think it's even better to go in clearly. So my first tip is to try and, when you're coming in and your partner comes in to support you, the best thing to do is try and explain what it is as best you can, what it is that's going on. Try and tell your partner as if this is the first time they've heard your idea. So the good thing about the monologue is that everybody's heard it. So when you come in with your idea, there's already a possibility that your partner will already understand what it is that you're doing, but it's much more important to be clear. The downside of when you're first doing premise ideas is when you come in, you assume that everybody knows exactly what you're going to do, and that's not the case. Everybody's heard the monologue, that's true, but in order to get your idea across, you have to effectively and clearly say it. So basically deliver your initiation as if you are telling your partner, this is what I'm doing. So for example, monologue about comic books again. If we're doing the professor and college student example, my initiation would be coming in and saying, hi professor, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about my dissertation. I loved your literature example that you're giving. I think William Shakespeare is a little bit overrated. I'm going to do mine about the real character, Batman. Batman's just, he's better. He's better than any other literary character that has ever existed. So right from the get-go, I'm already saying who the character is that I'm talking to. I'm already saying what has happened, and I'm already giving you my weird thing. The second tip I'll give you is sort of based on the idea of the weird thing. I'd say when you are initiating, come in as the unusual person. So it's too easy, I'd say, to go in and start accusing somebody of being weird. Hey, why are you doing this? You're just asking obvious questions, and I think if you take ownership of the weird thing that you've heard in the monologue, it's much more fun to be in control of it. Like it's much more fun to be the unusual person. You're more in control. Your partner understands what it is, and they could be the voice of reason. It just means that you have more control over the scene if you are the weird person. So go in as the unusual person. My third tip is literally go with what was said in the monologue. It is very, very easy to, when you're listening to a monologue, you find a fun idea, and then you sort of go like 3 steps ahead. So you're already imagining the story that's already unfolded, or you're already imagining like 3 different beats to it. This is only the first scene. The beats and the analogous scenes can happen. You can play them, but it's much easier if you start your scene off literally going with what was said. So if the monologue was about birds, and the monologist says something like they don't like birds, literally go in and be like, hi, I'd rather not go to the bird section of the zoo here. I really hate birds. Everybody already knows what's going on because it was literally said in the monologue, and everybody's on board. You will also get an audience, get a reaction from the audience if you're performing live to an audience watching you online. they will understand exactly what's going on. If you are thinking too far ahead, like, hi, I'm anti-Birdman, and I'm here to save the day. You're already thinking way too far ahead, and it's going to get lost. It's going to get lost in it. So literally go with what was said. Thanks, guys. I've been John Gallagher Portero. If you want to see me do improv or know of anything that I'm doing, I work for Bristol Longform Comedy in Bristol. I'm also in a Harrow team called Jazz Police. We do shows all over the place, and I'm also in a team called Boat Club where we do a lot of online shows. Thank you very much. Follow me on Twitter @OneBoardman, or find me on Facebook. I'm on all the social medias. Bye!